Sundays are cheat days for you?
Yes.
See, I cheated all with the Thanksgiving holiday, so I feel like today and yesterday I had to eat extra healthy to try and make up for it.
Mm, sadness.
I know, it really was. So I had a salad right before the
Um,
holiday. So,
sadness. I got an air fryer
ooh,
recently, and I bring it over to my because like the only person that I see is my sister, and I will like bring it over to her house, and we will like air fry things like sausages
you just
and chicken wings.
you just experiment with it and be like, what else would taste good in here?
Exactly. Everything it tastes good in an air fryer. You can bake cakes in an air fryer.
I've heard about that. I haven't actually baked a cake in an air fryer. I don't own one, but I've had food that's been cooked in an air fryer and it's great. And I love fried food, but that's like one of the things the doctor told me not to have because I'm old now.
Yeah, yeah.
Breaking. But the air fryer makes me feel like it's okay.
Oh, it's complete and it's okay. It's okay. You can eat, you know, air fried chicken wings and not you don't have to feel as guilty about it. It's okay.
Yeah, so that's going to be on my Christmas list this year.
I feel like you may need to ask Santa for an air fryer. I messed up and I actually bought the one that was like 7 quarts. So it's literally like this big and like this
Well,
big around.
okay, I was like, I don't know how big a quart is, but
It's so big. I messed up. I really messed up.
you messed up. Did you make the right choice? Because that sounds like it'd be a good
I
choice.
it's a good choice, but a bad choice. So, like, bad choice as, like, where am I gonna put this in my kitchen? Good choice is I can cook a lot of things at the same time.
Have you made it? Have you baked a cake in it yet?
No, I haven't. I'm, like, kind of a purist with my baking. Like, I love baking. Baking is that's my thing. Baking is my thing, and, besides playing music. Um, but
What other passion?
like I love making pies and like crisps and like cookies and cakes and stuff like that. And then I end up eating them or giving them.
Well, that's what
Yeah,
you're supposed to do with them.
yeah. Which is, well, it's sad though because like the only person here it's just me and my husband. So like I'm clearly he's gonna lose and have to eat that entire pie. You know, poor
That's
guy.
good though. That sounds
It's a
really.
it's a good it's a win-lose situation. Like he gets to eat a pie, but he also gets to eat a pie.
I get it, but you have the exercise gear right behind you. You can always kick his ass into shape.
Well, that's true. That's true. I love my spin bike. Just throwing that out there. This was like the pandemic purchase because like at home here normally, when we're not locked down, I teach yoga and I teach spin. So I was like, I'm not going to ride my bike outside during the winter
Right.
here. Sadness. You can't.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So I literally was just like, you know what, I'm gonna dive in and I'm gonna do it. And I had a friend that worked at a sports store, a place. Actually, it's not really a sports store. It's like a cardio store. It's called the Treadmill Factory.
Really?
Um,
Go
but
figure.
yeah, there's a shameless plug there. Maybe they'll give me free stuff. But yeah, so I ended up getting that for a good price, and then thankfully I can keep myself sane.
Have you been teaching online classes though? Because you can't do it in person now, right?
So now here we can teach
Mhm.
in person. So a little bit of background information. The pandemic for me was like a huge like realization that I was working too hard with all of the things that I do. So, like I have uh, a band, two bands, like active bands right now. And I was teaching yoga and spin like 12 hours a week on top of working a 40-hour a week job.
Jeez.
So like I was only home from like I would get up at like 6 in the morning, I would work, and then I would go and teach for like 2 or 3 hours, and then I would come home and it would be 9 o'clock, and I would just go to bed, eat dinner, and go to sleep.
I mean, that's what I that's kind of my schedule.
Yeah, but like you're not like legit 100% teaching all the time, right?
No, more, well, more this year than anything else because there's
That's
no
good
touring,
though.
anything else going on like that. But it would teaching versus like, all right, so I don't do anything else other than music. Like I don't have any hobbies. Like I'm super boring. Um, so touring, like playing live music versus teaching music kind of was almost like 60-40, you know? So like 40% of my time was spent teaching. I actually was teaching 5 days a week and I love it. And I had, last year I had 40 students a week, 40 students per week.
Hey, though. So it's like you had a regular job, like
Kind of.
a yeah, like not saying that teaching is not a regular job, but like, normal people work a 40-hour work week, right?
Right. And I was, it's not quite 40 hours. It was under that because not every lesson's an hour. Some younger kids,
Yeah.
stuff like that will be like 30 minutes or something. But yeah, it was still working a significant amount of time during the week teaching as
Mhm.
well as going out and playing or doing recordings, or then I would have to put everything on hold to go on a tour or something like that. So this year I've been teaching more, less students, less amount of time during the week because a lot of people didn't want to switch to online lessons.
Yeah.
But without being able to play live and without being able to tour and stuff like that,
You
I
have
teach.
to.
I've been doing more teaching than anything else
Yeah.
this year.
That's
So
good. Oh, good for you. Like for we haven't played any live shows. This is the longest I've gone in 23 years
same.
without playing a show.
Same.
And it's been almost a year.
I my well, for a while there, my last actual live gig was, I could pinpoint, it was March 13th. And I was supposed to play on the 15th, and that was the day they shut everything down. And I got a phone call that afternoon saying, we're going to still, the show's still on, the show's still on. And then I got a call a couple hours later saying, the show's not on.
No,
I did play 4 shows last month in October.
that must have felt so good though.
The first one was weird because just it was like nothing had ever happened. It was a regular show in a club with a crowd of people, and I'm just like, why do I feel so awkward right now? This used to be like 5 nights a week for me, and now it feels so foreign. So that show was a little like just uneasy feeling. Like it took me about half the set before I was like, okay, I kind of remember that this was normal. And then the other shows after that, all of them were killer, and all of them were great because then it felt more like in the routine. But that was, the last show was on Halloween, and
Um,
here we are now approaching December. Or
yeah.
actually, when I put this online, it will be December. I don't currently have any live shows on my calendar until some point deep into next year.
Yeah, we haven't booked
So
anything.
yeah, so like you, it's like the longest break of not performing live in like 20
Yeah.
something years.
It's crazy. Like I feel like I'm like, when this is all over and we start playing live shows again, what's that gonna be like? Like, what's it gonna be like?
I,
'Cause it's so weird.
I don't know what to expect. I can tell you that people right now, anyway. Yeah, all right. So you know how people get really jaded about going out and to a gig and stuff like that, unless they're like a real diehard fan of a band and they don't get to see them all the time, right? They're gonna buy a ticket, but like local shows and stuff like that,
Mm.
people, you get that, you know, bunch of text messages the day of the show with people flaking out on you kind of stuff, right?
I don't even bother inviting people anymore.
Right. So and I know a lot of people like that, that they're just like, I'm not even gonna bother. So that sort of thing with at least the shows that I did last month wasn't a factor. It was because people hadn't seen live music in so long. Every
Yeah.
show had a crowd. Every show had like the most appreciative crowds too, which especially, in certain parts of the country and stuff like that, people, don't care as much as other parts of the country do. It's like playing in Europe versus playing in the US kind of thing,
Europe. I
right?
miss Europe.
Where
It,
Europe,
it's
everyone,
like, man, I we've gotten so many offers to go to Europe throughout this whole pandemic, and I'm just like,
you can't.
no, we can't. Well, they'll let us over because we're
They
Canadian.
won't let us over though.
No, they won't let you
I'm
over.
booked on a European tour next year, and they're already like promoting it. I think it's like 6 weeks long or something like that. And like I've already seen concert flyers and stuff for it, and I'm like, we can't go yet. Like we don't know if that's actually going to happen unless they open the border. If they don't open the borders next year, we that tour is canceled.
So I have a friend that went right before they put most of Europe put the whole like ban on people from the US coming over.
Mhm.
Because I know like if you're from the US, there's certain countries that won't let you in. And I know he ended up going over to Europe right before that happened, and he's been there ever since. So once you just have to find a country to fly into that will let you in, and then you can, once you're in Europe, you can just they don't care.
Well, certain places. I know England had some pretty harsh lockdowns again recently too.
Yeah, yeah. I don't. I mean, who was I having a conversation with this about today? Yeah, it just seems like everybody's kind of on the second or third wave right now.
Yeah, yeah,
So hopefully that we end up getting vaccinated soon.
yeah. I'm hoping that in the next couple of months things start to ramp up a little bit in terms of the vaccines coming out and being
Yeah.
available to people and everything else, because that would
Yeah.
make things a lot easier.
I am so looking forward to playing a show though. Like,
I can bet. Well, you've stayed active during this lockdown
yeah,
anyway, though, because your your one of your bands put out a new record and your other band just put out a live concert. Did
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
So we can talk about that stuff for a sec, because I was going to.
Oh, yeah.
You've been
So
all over the place on this whole thing's been crazy.
listen, we've known each other a long time, so I feel like this we're gonna have to like cover the everything.
Yeah, and we haven't had the chance to actually like sit down and talk in a little while either. I'm
Yeah,
at best I only get to see you maybe once a year.
yeah. Oh, I'm sad. I'm gonna miss Nam this year.
Well, there is no Nam this year.
Well, that's what I mean. Everybody's missing. So I guess
Missing it.
it's
There is no Nam. I heard they're going to do something online, but I don't know any details about it. And it's like, who cares? I don't want to go to a trade show online. Like,
yeah,
eh.
sad. I mean, I'll be very excited about when everything somebody's trying to break into the room right now.
Your cat.
Hold on, let me go get him.
Go.
I'll let him in, and it's just like I don't know if he'll behave, right? Are you gonna behave? Come here. Oh,
Oh my god.
he's a very big boy.
I love seeing all the stuff you put online with him, where he's always constantly just interrupting you while you're trying to work. It's
Um,
hysterical.
he is. Well, let's see. There you go. He's a shoulder cat through and through, man. Like and we picked him up because I have five cats.
Five?
But we,
I thought
yeah,
you had like two.
I have five. But I have two that are both the same color, so it looks like they're one cat, but they're
Maybe that's
really two.
why I got confused, that I didn't realize it was two different cats.
Right? Okay, leave because you're eating plants and you're not allowed to. Okay, bye. You're famous. But anyway, yeah. Have you been like a part of a record release yet during this whole craziness?
Several. Yeah.
It's weird, right? Because you can't play live shows leading up to the release. So when because this was the White Swan recorded that record um, in December, so we were like planning on dropping it in like March or April, and then everything happened, and then I just kind of was like, I don't know what to do with this. How do
Well,
you release a record when you can't play live shows, right?
and you put it out in September, right?
Yeah, yeah, and then we just made sure to do a lot of content that we could release.
Kind of all anything is happening. And so, similar situation. Well, all right. So, I had just gotten hired by two new bands in March, but it was kind of like hush hush under the radar because their records were both coming out in like April-ish, April, May,
Mhm.
right? And so they wanted to do a big release of like, okay, here's the band's new lineup, uh, with announcement of tour dates and all this other stuff. Then the lockdown happened literally like the week after I had gotten hired by both of these groups, and their record labels just were like, we don't know what to do, so they just sat on the records, and eventually I think the labels probably just got tired of sitting on it, so both records came out in July.
Hmm.
And outside of like releasing music videos, um, there wasn't really anything to be done, you know? So
Yeah.
it's like you did with Lowell, just pump content out, put stuff online, put videos out online. The one group is the group that I did a couple of shows with last month, but we couldn't play in LA. We flew to Maryland and did stuff, and we did stuff outside of LA, and but it was just like fluke one-off things that kind of happened to pop up. Um,
How was flying?
what's that?
How was flying?
Totally normal. Like no, like flights were full, airports were packed, like just like normal. Everyone's got to wear a mask, and they don't do any kind of beverage or service or anything like that. So you can't like order a drink on the plane or get a. You can't even get like pretzels or anything like that. But like full flights, no social distancing at all. It was just like wear your mask and cough.
Inside a stranger. Woo!
Yeah, it was. It's so there. The flying was kind of normal outside of the fact that everyone had to wear a mask.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, just kind of same thing. Like, just put the material out, and um, this year I had to switch my focus from playing live to recording. So I'm sitting
Mhm.
in this room all day, every day, and I've thankfully had enough session work to keep me busy. So I've had a number of singles and EPs and albums and stuff come out with a bunch of different artists this year, but
Mhm.
no one can play live. So it's all lots of making music videos and lots of stuff like this and lots of, some people have been doing like virtual concert stuff, which
Yeah. Have you done any of that
I
yet?
did a, I did a couple of them. They're okay, but at the end of the day, it's just basically like watching a band play. Uh, I don't know. It's weird. It's like watching a band's rehearsal. It's like less of a concert and more of like oh, they got all dressed up to practice. Like,
It's a dress rehearsal.
it's like, that's it. That's the best way to put it. It's like a dress rehearsal because there's no audience. You're all in one room together and there's nobody else in there. And the audio sounds fine. If you have multiple cameras, you can at least switch to multiple camera angles to make it a little interesting. But outside of that, it's kind of boring. And like after I did a couple of them, I was like, I don't want to do these anymore. Like these are,
It's
you know,
very interesting that's like very ingenuitive to think of that, and I'm kind of glad that we have the capability to be able to do it. I haven't done one of those yet. I got an offer to do a couple, um, and I don't think that Kieran Shane and would be really too hap on being in like a foreign place with a bunch of humans
yeah,
that because they know that I'm safe and I don't leave my house at all unless I'm like in my yard or like riding my bike or buying cat food. So
of which you have to buy a lot of.
I do. I just actually stocked up for lockdown, which is real exciting. But anyway, so there's and I mean our live drummer Perry, he would be okay with it. I just, I don't want to put anybody in a position where they feel uncomfortable. Like
Right.
I'm cool with whatever and would be happy to wear a mask until the time where I had to actually sing into a microphone
Yeah.
and start playing. But for the most part, it's like I would be okay with it, but I don't want to make anybody else feel uncomfortable. So, and I feel like the people that like us understand that that's a thing and they'll wait. They
Yeah,
can wait.
I think I think most people kind of understand. It's nice that some groups are out there and still doing something,
Yeah.
but for most of the groups that aren't, I think people just get it. They're like, well, what, outside of, you know, putting out music videos and stuff like that, there isn't much that can be done.
Yeah.
A lot of people started like doing those collaboration videos where people would collaborate from with other musicians from all over the place, and they would basically take their videos of everyone doing their part on their own and putting it together Brady Bunch style,
Yeah. My sister did a couple of those with Jeff and my friend Mike Sage, who used to play drums in Biff Naked.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, yeah. So she did like a couple covers with Jeff. You know Jeff.
Yeah, yeah. um
Uh, and yeah, so she did a couple of those and they worked out very well. So
I did a handful of them as well this year. But then again, like by July it was getting old, and I was like, these are kind of getting boring. And it's like, because everyone was doing them, and at first it was cool, it was fun, but then it got old kind of quick. um I've managed to have one thing that started as one of those form into a whole new band, where it's an online band now, where
okay.
it's, yeah, me and the singer are here in LA.
Hmm.
um but one of the guys is in Wisconsin and one of the guys is in Arizona, and I've never met them.
Oh, well,
We
that's nice though.
we did a Zoom call like this last week, and that was literally like the first time we heard each other's voices, kind of thing. But we've been writing and recording material since about June or July, all virtually. Like someone comes up with a part and they drop it into an account online, and we all can download it and play our parts on our own and send it back and collaborate. We released one song on Halloween, and the plan is to release one song a month, uh, until we're done, until it's until we get bored of it. And I think right now we have about a dozen songs in various stages of completion. We have a new one coming out tomorrow, which is just a cover that we decided to slap together real quick. And then while we have a little more time to finish mixing on the next original song, which will come out sometime in December. And then, like I said, every month we're going to release a new song. And it's a band that's never actually been in the same room together.
That's awesome though. Good for you.
Yeah, that's been kind of fun. That's been a cool thing to keep me occupied with. And this morning and all this week, I wasn't playing the drums. I was doing vocals on all the stuff, which is also different. So
Weird. Let me tell you.
yeah. All right. You, with White Swan, you did the Dave Grohl move, and you stepped out from behind years of playing the drums to fronting a band, singing and playing guitar.
Hmm.
All right, what started this whole thing? Because all right, so this is what, your second record that you guys put out now, or
Or
fourth?
yeah.
How am I so off on these numbers? You got five cats and four. Sorry. Um,
Okay.
all right, so this is your fourth record you put out with them before.
Yeah.
And what started that whole thing?
What
Besides
happened?
play
What
guitar.
happened?
What happened? Yeah.
So well, like I don't know. I feel like I categorize myself first and foremost as a songwriter first, and then second, I'm a drummer, if that makes sense. Because
Sure.
for me, like songwriting, that's always been not always, but for a large portion of my existence, that's my thing,
Mhm.
right? I write songs. I had the Alcoholics, which was the band after Kittie stopped touring, was the band that I kind of was playing drums for.
Mhm.
Uh, a really super fun band, but things started to wind down with that band. And the last couple years that the Alcoholics were a thing, Kira had played bass in the Alcoholics. So sometime in 2016, She had wrote me, or I had wrote her rather, because I was like, I have all these songs, and I don't know what to do with them, and they're weird, and I think I want to start a band. So I wrote her, and I was like, Hey, you want to start a band? And she's like, Yeah. And I was like, well, that was easy.
Yeah.
So I had already bought the domain. So this band existed in my head like long before it actually existed. Which I don't know how you want to take that, but
It,
anyway, so
it makes sense. Like you had an idea, and it was
yeah,
just, you needed the right opportunity to roll the dice on, be like, hey,
right.
so I've got this idea.
Yeah, yeah. So anyway, I was like, well, I need to find a guitar player. So Kira's boyfriend at the time, who is now her fiance, and they were supposed to get married this year during the pandemic, but obviously
Yeah.
that's not a thing. So they have moved it until next year. So that should probably work out okay for them, and I'm very excited. But anyway, so I was like, would you be okay with being in a band with Shane? And she was like, yeah, that's fine. So I was like, okay, you want to ask him if he wants to play guitar? Anyway, so Kira and Shane are both engineers. They went to the music program here
Cool.
in town at the college. And so I went over to their house and I was like, okay, so I'll show you all these riffs and we're gonna demo them. And we demoed them in their living room. And that was kind of like the birth of everything. So we demoed these songs and I'm like, I have no idea what I want to do in this band because I had lyrics, I had melodies, I had obviously clearly drum parts to these songs as well. That I was just like, I don't know what to do. And I don't know what to do. So I was like, I could just sing, but I kind of feel like an idiot when I'm just like singing into a microphone. Because I'm a drummer, I feel like I need to be doing something. So I was like, oh, I can definitely, because my background is piano, and I played piano long before I picked up the drums. So I was like, well, maybe I'll just play the keys because I knew I wanted to have keys incorporated in the band. And I was like,
Not the
okay,
same.
so this is really hard to sing over. Like, I don't know how people can play piano and sing. Like, I have no idea. It takes way more. I can play drums and sing, which is not bad. Like,
Yeah.
but like the dexterity for your like fingertips, if that makes sense, and both hands going at the same time and singing at the same time. To me, that's crazy. And I tried, and I was like, this isn't gonna work. So I was like, okay, so I'm not a guitar player. I'm not a guitar player, but I know that I like can play guitar, if that makes sense. Like I'm not a shredder. I can play guitar adequately.
I get it. I
Yeah.
no, I know what you mean. The guys that I'm doing that online band with thing, they're like, well, Nick, wait, if you want to ever like drop some guitar parts in on something, I'm like, look, unless we're playing the Ramones,
No.
don't
Yeah.
ask me to
Right.
do that because it's gonna be bad.
But anyway, so I was like, well, okay, so there's a lot of this in the White Swan because it's super slow. One,
It is very like, it's very doomy, very sludgy, very slow,
yeah,
heavy sounding stuff.
and like so I already knew that off the bat that I was going to play drums on all the recordings at least, and then we would once we play shows, I would figure out something to do with drums live. So I was like, you know what, I'm going to try and learn how to sing and play guitar at the same time. And 2 weeks, it took me 2 weeks of me setting up my mic stand in my kitchen where this is my old house. So I had a breakfast bar and I had an old iMac or Mac Mini, and I would just play the songs on repeat. And I would sit there with my guitar and sing into the microphone and play along with the recording. Because we recorded our first EP, Anubis, before we played shows.
Mm-hmm.
Also, that's like a total weird move, right? So I taught myself how to do that with the recordings, and then I was like, well, I guess this is what I'm doing.
Yeah.
um, and it's awkward to not have the protection of a drum kit, if that makes sense.
Well, no, because I'm like deathly afraid of not having this. You
Yeah,
know,
right?
like
Like
I
that's my
completely,
thing.
yeah, I completely I get what you're saying. Like when I record vocals, I'm doing it here in this room, and I have
Yeah.
a little vocal booth thingy set up right over here. But I'm alone. I know no one's hearing me but me, so I can be okay. Or like when I'm playing guitar, like it's at home. I'm sitting there after dinner at the kitchen table and I'm playing. But like doing that in front of people or
Oh,
letting other people hear it
no.
is really terrifying because this is my safety blanket. You
Yeah, right? Right? And like you have an excuse to make stupid faces behind a drum kit. You
Yeah.
have so I have like ugly singing face 100%. And I discovered this when I started when we started first playing live shows and videos of our shows started showing up on YouTube, and I'm like, God, I just like this is my worst nightmare. Legit, this is my worst
Like
nightmare.
people practice in front of a mirror so they can be like, don't make that face when you do that.
Yeah, you just can't. You can't. So yeah, I have like ugly singing face. But yeah, no, it's super weird to be able to do that. And it's I mean, it's super cool that that's a thing.
Mhm.
Um, and that I was just like, well, I guess I'm gonna do this. Because I felt like if I got somebody else to sing in the band, like it, I would be like, no, you're singing this, and I feel like that wouldn't be right.
Then you're almost just taking like a director role where you're like, you know, in your head how you want it to be,
Mhm.
and you're trying to force your creativity onto somebody else.
You can't do that.
And that's no, that's really hard to do with a singer specifically because they're fronting it, they're emoting while they're singing, you know what I mean? Like if you're a hired guitar player or something like that, you can be like, no, it's D to E to this and play it like that. And
Mhm.
or even a hired drummer or something like that. It's like, no, this is the pattern you're gonna play in the verse and that's it. With
Mhm.
a singer, it's so different. It's so much different, and that would be really hard to tell somebody you have to sing it not like you have to sing it like how I want to sing it.
Yeah. So yeah,
There's a
and
lot of
I realized that off the bat. I was like, okay, I can't do that. So, I'm super glad that I made that decision. But it's still super weird for me to do that. And I try not to talk to the audience because I don't like to, because it makes me feel weird. Because I'm just used to, like drinking my water
yeah.
and toweling off a little bit and then counting in. So I'm like, uh, yeah, and I'm so used to other people just like, yeah, you go ahead, you talk to these humans. I can't. Like I have a hard time with it. So I try not to talk as much as possible. But
I prefer that though. Like some of the best shows I've ever seen are when no one talks to the audience or
yeah,
it's very minimal. You know, the direction I always try to give students or even, you know, maybe younger bands that I'm working for or something like that is like, don't talk to the audience until after you've already played 3 songs at least.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
"Hey, how you doing?" After the first song, like, you just blew it.
No, we try and run songs together as much as possible so I can avoid talking to people on stage. I'll talk to you all you want afterwards.
Yeah.
But
On stage, music comes through. No, I like I said, I kind of prefer that. I don't mind a little bit of banter here and there, but I think it should be kept to a minimum, you know?
yeah,
But that's a personal preference, of
sure.
what
I
I like
agree.
when I see a show.
Yeah, well, like I mean, and the other thing is like we've had a lot of drummers in this band, um, as well, like live drummers.
Mhm.
So that's been actually like a little bit of a point of contention
So,
uh,
is
with
that, like, super weird for you in the terms of, like, we were talking about with the singer where you're kind of directing your part onto somebody else? It's like, "Well, that's not gonna work with a singer." Is it the same with drums because you're the drummer?
So initially, like because we've had quite a few drummers play with us, like a lot. And I'm very particular about the people that I play with. In the beginning, I wasn't very particular, and then I got really particular after a little bit, which and that's okay. So the people that clearly are not playing with us, right now. There's like one or two that I was just like, no, not a thing that's going to happen. But we have had a couple really great people that have, and I have like a list of people that I call if Perry, like our main guy, if he can't do a show, not that we're playing now,
Right.
but if he can't do a show, I have like a list of 3 or 4 people that I can, call and be like, hey,
Yeah.
I know that you can learn these songs in 3 days, or do you just brush up on them because it's been a year since you played these songs or whatever, or I have a couple of new songs for you to learn. Um, so that's kind of a thing. So I feel pretty lucky that I know drummers.
It
And I
helps.
always people that like bug me, they're always like, hey, so if you ever need somebody, let me know. So I have a few people that I've added to my list as of recently.
I
But the guy
really
that
being on those people's lists.
so the guy that we have playing with us now. So my rule after our first drummer was they have to be better than me. So
Yeah, I mean that's a big standard to put out on people. It's like
yeah.
I've been playing drums professionally for my entire life, so if you're gonna play in this band, you gotta out drum me.
Yeah. So and like not and it's a timing thing too, because like I feel like I have really good swing and good timing. And like these songs are slow. Like so like 64 beats per minute, most of them.
Were you having to play to a click live?
I did have a couple of them play to a click. But there's a couple of them that don't need it.
Okay.
So like my friend Goose, he has the best timing in the universe. So like I'm like, you are okay. You've got great timing. Perry was playing with a click for a while, but not anymore. He's comfortable enough with the songs now that he's just like whatever.
Okay.
But and then yeah, so it was I've had a couple fill-in guys play with a click because it's so slow, and it usually works out pretty well. And then I'm like, oh wow, it's been a long time since I played this song this slow. but which helps me to get everything in. Let's be honest here. But yeah, no, it's the guy that we have playing now. Perry is like he plays with like Blues Brothers, like a touring Blues Brothers like
Oh,
tribute act, like the biggest one.
wow.
Yeah, and his brother is like the singer, and his uncle is the bass player, and
Oh,
they like do residencies in Europe and stuff like that. So and I think I want to say that Perry like filled in for one of those like early 2000s new metal bands. And I want to say it was Trapped, but I don't think it was Trapped. It was,
I think they're one of those bands that has gone through drummers.
yeah, I don't think it was Trapped. I think it was, what's the other one that is it? I can't remember.
That
I'll
narrows
have
it
I'll
down.
have to ask him, but he played for one of those bands.
Okay.
One of those bands for like a little bit of time, and which is he's from like super small town, Ontario. Like he lives outside of town.
Oh,
So it's he's a super cool guy. I like playing with him. And him and I play in another band together that I just sing in, but it's like strictly cover band that we do for fun.
that's cool.
And with two brothers and Perry, and the two brothers and Perry have been playing together for like, I don't know, 30 years almost. Like yeah. So like there are a couple because Perry's a couple years older than me, and so is Dave and Gerard. So they literally like they've been playing together since they were like 12,
Oh,
and 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 so like they know exactly what they're gonna do, and it's with they just have to look at each other, you know what I mean? Like, and they know what's gonna happen.
nice.
Uh, so it's always nice to play with people like that because I'm so used to doing that kind of stuff with my sister.
Mhm.
Like I know that if I'm playing with her, I can like do something and like a certain fill or hit my hi-hat in a certain way, and she's gonna know it's time to make a change.
She'll know all your cues, all and
Yeah, yeah.
things that you can do that won't throw her off.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Like,
Not that
it's
her and
weird.
I do a lot of improvising, but like, when her and I, sit down and write music together, it's one of those things, man, that, when you've been playing with somebody for so long, you get that, like, you really vibe off of each other and you know what that person's gonna do.
Have you have you done that recently with her? Like,
Uh,
you guys
there
just put out the live concert,
Yeah, yeah, but I mean, that was recorded in 2017.
right?
So
Yeah, it's a couple years old, but you guys just put it out. What, last week was it that came out?
yeah, yeah, yeah. So the Live in London, the Live at the London Music Hall.
Right.
And so that was something that we actually released ourselves at first, and then we ended up getting approached by the company that released it. And all we really want to do is just give people the opportunity to experience that show, because that stuff is never going to happen again.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, it might, but
Wait for another anniversary to
yeah,
come up of like the band has now existed for 30 years, and then you can start making those phone calls again.
yeah, you never know. But it's crazy because or the documentary that was released in, what was that, 2018, I think, 2017.
Uh,
Uh,
I just watched it last year
yeah.
when it went
So
to like
I think Origins Evolutions was released in 2017 as well. But anyway, that is on Amazon Prime as well. So for rent, or you can just watch it. And then this has been released on a bunch of different platforms. So um, it's kind of made things like a weird resurgence in the band. So I don't know what we're gonna end up doing.
it's a good thing though. That's not bad. I mean,
Oh, it's
right
great.
now, obviously, we can't go play live. You guys can't go out on the
Yeah.
road or anything like that, but you can always put pen down on paper.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I don't suppose that Morgan and and Tara are gonna end up doing a new record per se, maybe, but probably not. I would say that, like, if anything, we'd want to give the fans, at least that weren't able to experience that Live in London show, I think we'd want to maybe go off and do it like in select cities, if anything. But that's something that would be a world away. And to get everybody on board and do it in that way would be really
You
hard.
can do it well if you went out into select cities and stuff. Maybe not bring everybody along because that's a lot for people to upheave their current
Yeah.
lives, what they have going on in their lives and stuff like that. Because but maybe like in this city, special guest A and B are going to be there, and in that city, special guest C and D are going to be there. So you could do it always something like that,
Yeah, well, I
kind of
mean,
regional.
you never know, right? Like, especially with us, we try and keep things under our hats as much as possible. But unless it was like unless it was like a really good offer,
Mhm.
um, and we could include everyone, I don't think we would uh, do it. You know what I mean? But you never know, right? Um,
It's a cool idea.
this pandemic has done, like, it's messed with everybody, right? So, like, maybe we'll end up doing something at some point. I think it would be really nice to be able to do something, especially I know, like, there's a bunch of the ladies that were in the band previous that have kids and stuff like that. So it's like working around, like, Tanya's got a bunch of kids,
Yeah.
Ivy's got a bunch of kids. Who else has kids? I think it's just Tanya and Ivy. Um, those bass players.
Right.
But anyway, but yeah, so it would just be one of those things where we would really, we'd have to really think about it, and there would take a lot of planning in order to pull it off. That's for
Yeah.
sure.
Well, you're right. It'd be cool though. It would be cool. And like even if you did like, oh, you can have this person come out for these two shows, but maybe they can't stay for more than that because they got a bunch of kids, and kind of different cities have different people and stuff like that. And
We'll see what happens.
it can be
I
cool.
think I think it would be super cool if something like that did happen. I really I'm it makes me really happy that we found like a broader distribution for the live at the music hall. It was I'm glad that we recorded it.
Yeah.
We were planning on it.
Hmm.
And we that night was a very interesting and fun night for sure. I played in the two opening bands too.
Oh, I didn't realize your other bands opened the show.
Yeah, so the Alcoholics last show
Uh huh.
was they were the opener, and then the White Swan played, and then Kittie played for like an hour and a half or
You
two
were
hours.
just on stage all night long. How
Yeah.
do you have the energy for that?
I don't know. I stayed up until 5 in the morning that night too.
Oh my God.
Let me tell you, it was fun.
The record book night.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it was and I feel like I probably slept for like 2 days afterwards. It was a lot of work, and like by the end of the night I was toast.
Hmm.
But it was fun. I enjoyed myself. And I would rather do that. Like I can't sit around and like twiddle my thumbs.
No, I, I always get to a point like halfway through an opening band set where I'm like, all right, be done. It's my turn now. You're like,
Get off the stage.
right. So if you can just be up there the whole time, I mean, that's better.
Yeah, yeah. Like I took breaks. Like I got off, and it's nice too because the sound guy didn't have to touch any of the of uh, the drums because they were
Oh,
already up there.
you just
Uh,
let it rock for the whole night then.
Except Perry is a lefty, so he had to set up his own drum kit.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's weird.
He switched the whole thing around. He doesn't do the open hand thing. He just,
So he plays weird. He's left-handed, but he plays open-handed.
yeah, okay. I got a couple of students that do that. So they still play the kick with like their right foot, but they're playing open
Oh
hand
no,
with it.
no, no. He plays his kick with his left foot. So he plays open-handed, and then, but everything is over to this way.
Right.
Yeah,
But he
but
still plays open hand, so he's still leading with his right hand on his hi hat.
no, with his left.
So he's
So
kick and his hi hat are both on the same side.
yeah, yeah. He can play like this,
Right.
but he plays like this, but with his left hand. But he also plays his kick with his left foot. But he when he rolls his toms, he goes to the left. But he plays
Right.
open-handed.
That's where now I want to go look at like pictures or videos of you guys playing because I didn't pay attention to that at all. I didn't notice.
Sometimes he plays the other way too. Maybe he does play the other way. I've played his drum kit and it's weird.
Okay.
That's all I know.
Sitting behind anybody's drum kit can throw you off a little bit though, like especially with different setups. I was always surprised your toms were so far in front of you away from the bass drum.
Yeah.
Every
So
time I looked at your setup, I was like, I could never ever reach that hi hat all the way over there.
yeah. So like I started playing a lot differently towards like the end of us touring. I ended up like fully. I don't know if I saw you the last couple tours, but when I was playing with my club custom kit.
Yeah, the swirly black and white swirly colored one, right? Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I've seen you
Um,
with that kit a
so
couple times.
everything's super low, and I actually because I downsized all of the size of my drums because and I was playing like a 20-inch kick. Like I got rid of like the 22 by 18. I was like, I can't do that anymore. So I got like a teeny tiny little 20-inch kick at like a 10 and 12 tom, and I started playing everything a little more flat. And so my toms were actually offset a little bit
Yeah,
from where the kick is, and my ride is actually almost up center. So if that makes sense.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So and then the two crashes and then hi-hat. But it's weird because I have a long body and long arms but short legs.
So,
So
so you're sitting super low on it then?
no, I sit a little higher up too.
Okay.
But yeah, yeah. So it's everybody's setup is weird though.
Yeah, like my from behind, I mean, if you're all right, if you're just looking at my kit without me sitting behind it, it looks
Mhm.
very normal, right?
Mhm.
But I sit off center. I sit
Uh,
perfectly straight on with my snare, so the kick is to my right, the hi-hats are to my left, which means if you're looking at me from the front, I look like I'm sitting, you know, to the
Weird.
one side of my kit.
Okay.
I just like having my feet on the pedals evenly, like right when I sit down, like right and left side, there's one pedal, there's the other. A lot of people will sit more centered with their bass drum and then kind of turn a little.
Okay.
And I don't. I'm like straight forward, almost like I'm playing like a kit that has two bass drums,
Mhm.
but with
But
just
you're
one
one.
bass drum. Kind of
I feel like I'm a little more to the left, if that makes sense. And
yeah,
like everything's kind of angled in towards me.
yeah,
Like
that makes sense.
because I have the hex rack, right? So and
Yeah,
it's like a little it's a curve, right?
right.
So yeah. I
I got I got the same rack on this kit, but like
yeah.
the one leg comes right up between it comes right up between my snare and my hi-hat, which you can't.
Okay.
So like the one leg to the hex rack is right here between the snare and the hi-hat, as where the other one is all the way over there. You know what I mean? So it
Yeah.
looks like it's all shifted to one side.
Well, like it's weird because, like, back in the day when you couldn't get short toms,
Mhm.
really, and everything was massive. Like I remember my first like Yamaha kit, the rack toms on it were massive.
That's what
And
these are. These are like
yeah,
the super deep '80s ones.
yeah. So like I was like, feeling like Vinnie Paul, you know, like except Yama, but like it always just felt really weird to me. Like, and I not that I was a tiny kid or anything like that, because I've always been on the taller side, or at least taller than everybody else in my band. Um, but probably like a long shot. Everybody else is tiny humans, but I always kind of felt like like really struggled to get up on those toms, and then everything got shorter and shorter and shorter as time progressed, and I got more drum kits and I got more comfortable. But like you're when you're 15 years old and you're getting your first like really nice drum kit, and you're just like, I want everything.
Yeah. No, it was all the stuff was huge, huge back then. And
Yeah.
yeah, all my other kits now they have the toms are so much shorter and they're easier to position and they're more comfortable and stuff like that. This kit just it is what it is just because this kit's from the '80s, you know.
Yeah.
So it I didn't have a lot of a choice with it, but it sounds good for recording, so it's like fine, I'll it's going to be what it is. But for all the touring kits and stuff, yeah, toms are much shorter now.
Yeah, I dig it, man. Like that club custom kit that I have is just like that was like a game changer for me. I love that drum kit. And they stopped making the club customs too, which makes me really sad.
Yeah, I've only played one of those once, and I think it was the same color as yours. There was a venue that had it as backline. They
Mhm.
sounded great. They were
Dude,
really, really nice.
the Kapura is like it sounds it's a great wood. Like, and I'm surprised that drum companies don't use that wood more frequently because it's real it makes everything sound great.
Yeah, those are really, really, really fantastic drums. They were really. They'd only made them for like a handful of years too, right? Didn't
Yeah,
they make
yeah.
them for a couple
I
of
don't
years.
know. I don't know.
So I like the stuff they have now though too. Like I'm not. I don't think that they took that off the market and put a bunch of stuff out that's like, no, I like the stuff they have now a lot too, but that was a little more unique and it was weird that they didn't stick with at least one sort of unique kit and they kind of went with the typicals like, here's your birch, here's your maple, here's your oak. There you go.
Yeah. I don't know. I know a lot of people that have that drum kit. Like the dude from Blue Rodeo. You know who Blue Rodeo is.
Yeah.
You because you're from Buffalo. Um, that's it's border town.
I happen to know
So the
all of
dude
the
from Blue
Canadian
Rodeo, like that's all he plays is, and he has a blue club custom. And every time I see him, he's playing that kit. and it sounds like money.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I feel like they need to. There's a couple things that Yamaha needs to bring back. They need to bring back the Club Customs, and they also need to bring back the Manu Cache snare.
Um, was that the black over brass? It was like the Black Beauty one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. You have one of those?
Yes.
Those are so
So
nice.
that is the best sounding snare I've ever owned in my life. And it crushes it, like it absolutely crushes sound guys. Like just brings them to their knees. And it's my favorite thing in the universe.
So I had one sort of, not an exact copy, but I had one made a couple years
Mm,
ago. So they
mm,
came out with their new line of snares,
mm,
and they have the recording custom brass.
mm.
So I got one of those, and then had it done in a black powder coat finish on the shell.
Oh, nice.
And I had it done flat black to match the kit because the kit that I used live most of the time is their oak, the live custom oak with the flat black finish. So I had the snare made for that. So it's not exactly the same snare drum because yours had like black nickel plating on it,
Yeah.
and mine's just got a black powder coat on it, but it is still that brass shell underneath.
Yeah.
And I use that snare probably on 90% of everything I've done in the last.
It records so well.
It's incredible.
Dude,
Absolutely incredible snare.
so I cried when I snapped the die cast rim on that snare.
Well,
Snapped it.
you
Uh,
don't know. You can
pardon?
you can get another hoop though.
Oh, but I was on tour.
Oh, okay.
Like I legit cried, and I was like, I'm gonna have to use another snare.
Oh my god.
And the other thing is like, so I immediately called Sean Brown, and I was like, broke the diecast hoop, and he was like, okay, you can bring it in when you're. And I had already been to California, so there was no way that I was going to get another diecast hoop when,
Yeah.
by the time, they sent it out to me or whatever, it would have, the tour would have been done. But anyway, I brought it to him, and he had another Manu Cache that had been broken, like it had a dent in it,
Oh wow.
like somebody like punched through it, which is really not something that could happen. I don't know how that happened, but anyway, he just took the rim off and replaced it, and
Nice.
he hung it on his wall.
Oh, that's awesome.
Because he was like, I don't know anybody that's ever broken one of these, and I was like, well, you're welcome.
I broke a die cast hoop on a Tama snare years and years and years ago, and I don't know how that happened, but yeah, it broke like right around one of the lugs on it, and I was
Yep.
like, "Oh, I didn't know that was possible."
Now you know.
Yeah. So that's cool though. That's cool. Yeah, that snare drum's great. That's I. It'd be nice if they came back with a couple of their more unique drums that they had, like that one. Um, I know they got the Steve Gadd snare now. It looks just like that, but it's steel. It's not brass.
Oh,
Uh,
I have one of the Jimmy Chamberlain snares, and that's steel, I think.
I don't remember what that snare was. How big is that?
It's 14.55.
Okay.
So and that one, that's my like other. So if there's that's my like, if I break my Manu, that I'll play the Jimmy Chamberlain, because it's close,
Okay.
but it's not the Manu.
Not the exact
Yeah, it's not, it's good, but it's not as good. Sorry, Jimmy Chamberlain.
thing. It's all preference. It's all preference.
Yeah, of course, of course.
Yeah. I mean, that snare drum was like a sought after King of the Mountain one that they had for a long time. So it'd be nice if they kind of.
Some really big sizes too, which is crazy. Like I feel like they made like one with like a 6.5 depth, and I want to say that they made one with a 7.5 as well.
I got a 7. Oh, you can't see it, but behind me is a one of their brass snares, just straight brass kind of thing, but it's got a 7-inch depth on it.
Love it.
And so, like for the big, fat rock tunes kind of thing,
Yeah.
that's where it's at right there.
You put some Rick Allen reverb on it, and then you're good to
Oh
go.
yeah, Oh yeah, just crank it as high as it goes and just lay into it. So anytime I'm doing something that seems a little bit more over the top, big rock, like arena rock sounding stuff, that's the snare drum that has to come out.
Perfect.
Yeah,
Perfect.
it's outstanding. So,
Yeah. Yeah. I just gear.
I,
Yeah.
did you see the bloody kit that I got this
Yeah,
year?
I did. So was that like a weird like vintage Yamaha kit that you just painted?
No, it's brand new. It
Oh.
came as like an idea. So they redid a. I had one of those like little side snares, right?
Mhm.
You remember like the little 10-inch stage custom side
Yeah.
snares,
Okay.
right? I had one of those, and it was like in a natural finish, and it just anytime I had to use it, it stuck out like a sore thumb because like
Yeah.
it was black, and I mean black, black heads, black hardware, black shells, black cymbals, everything, and then I had this like bright, huge maple snare drum. It was really awkward looking. So I was just talking to them one day and I was like, do you think you could actually refinish this to match the kit? And they're like, yeah, sure. So I gave it to them and like, a week later they brought me the shell back and they redid it in a matte black finish.
Oh,
And
that's
I
so
was like,
nice.
oh my God, this is gorgeous. And then that started getting the wheels turning where like, uh, I was like, I got this idea. And originally, what I was going to do is buy a bunch of drums and kind of just make this thing in my garage because just to see if it would work. Just
I
to,
hope you're like, make this thing in my garage.
right. I was going to just kind of piece it together and just see. It would be like a beater kit, you know what I mean? But after I saw how nice that finish came out on that side snare, I was like, I got this other idea. And what it is the symbols I was using were the black color sounds from Peisty, and they have a really beautiful red that they do also. And I was like, could we take that color red and match it and do like blood all over the shells? I was like, I want it to look zombie apocalypse, like my drum tech was just a zombie manhandling these shells. And they're like, we could do that. Like they got super excited about it. So we got one of the symbols from Peisty and I gave it to the guys at Yamaha, and then they went through different color swatches. And when they found the right color, they ordered in the paint and they ordered in all the shells and the sizes that I wanted. So it's a stage custom kit, brand new in the white finish that they got. And we took a day back in February, and I went to their artist services center out here,
Hmm.
and we just like put on our awful painting clothes and we all went to town with just paintbrushes and all kinds of different tools. Like it looked like surgery was being performed. They had like a whole tray table with all different tools on it of like different stuff to use just to see what it would happen if we
Oh
flung paint with
wow.
it. It was awesome. And that
Good.
it was the end result. Was that kit.
Yeah, no, that's super. I was hoping that you ended up doing something like that. That's cool. Good for you. I've only dealt with Japan
Okay.
with paint custom paint stuff. And because I
You had
there's a
that kit.
there's I have two pink kits, and the custom color, like they were like, we don't know if we can do this, and then they were like, yes, we can do this. We don't know if we can do this. So it went back and forth for like the first pink kit I got it. The
Hmm.
second pink kit, because I asked for some extra stuff, uh, they it took them like 2 years to figure out how to paint it.
Oh wow.
It was sparkle. So 2 years, I ordered this drum kit and I was like, well, I guess it's not coming.
Wow.
And then 2 years later, it finally shows up.
This one took about half a year from the time that we first kind of started talking with the idea to getting the symbol to them and them going through color swatches to try and figure it out. Like they actually were sending me pictures of like a shell they cut with different paint samples all over it with the symbol next to it to try and match everything.
So with people like that, they get excited when you don't when you get they get to do things that they don't normally get to do.
Yes.
Like you probably made somebody's week
Yeah.
with the drum kit.
They were super, super excited. They were
I would
really,
be excited too. If you came to me and you were like, we're gonna paint this kit and blood splatter, I would be like, count me in, please.
yeah. No, it was awesome. It was really cool. I'm sad that it hasn't been able to go on a stage yet because,
Soon.
you know, I got the kit in February
Yeah.
and I was supposed to play like an outdoor horror festival in early April, and that was going to be like the first time I got to bring it out on a stage where it would be appropriate because you can't play with bloody drums for every gig. So that got canceled, and then everything got canceled, and so the drums are literally sitting behind my computer right now on the shelf, and I've used it for a couple of music videos, but outside of that, it's like it's never seen a stage, and it's kind of a bummer. And I'm hoping that, next year I'll be able to bring that one out more and put it on the road or something because it
Yeah.
deserves an audience, that one.
Oh, for sure, for sure. Well, you know what? I hope that we get to play some shows soon. Even though you got to play shows in October.
I only a couple, but it would be really nice if we could all do that more regularly. So,
I can't. I'm looking forward to it. When this is all done, I think because my husband and I have been playing together and kind of like working on stuff. So
mhm.
I'll probably end up playing drums for that band. So
Well, that would be cool. You always have stuff going, just the wheels.
yeah, yeah.
You want to hear something funny? Bet we haven't done anything with it recently, but back in like April, Tara and I were recording stuff together.
Because I know she was in California for a while.
Well, no, it wasn't out here. I mean, I was out here, but we were just bouncing tracks through the internet.
Oh, that's perfect then.
We
Good
were,
for you.
she's like, I got some country music ideas, and she sent me like a bunch of like guitar tracks that were like super like twangy like country stuff, and it was really good. So I laid down some demo drums on that stuff and we bounced them back and forth a little bit. And I know she was talking to a bassist, I think in Vegas, about laying something down, but we haven't really done much with it the last couple months.
Yeah, she's in a country band
Yeah.
now from out west. I think they're from Calgary,
Oh,
maybe.
well, that would make sense. Calgary's got Stampede. Like they have, a
Yeah.
two festival, which is insane. Have you ever been to it?
No, I've never been to the Stampede. And like I'm from that part of the country, but I've never been as an adult. My parents may have taken me as a child. I don't know.
I
Um,
played it a couple of years ago. It's wild. It,
do they have real cowboys?
oh yeah. Oh yeah. Real live Canadian cowboys. It's insane.
Yeah.
One of the fun gigs ever was
Uh,
playing Stampede.
I bet that would have been a blast. I'm actually kind of jealous. Not that I play any music that would remotely work at the Calgary Stampede. Can you imagine?
Right?
Drop.
Your super doomed, sludgy white swan stuff there would be kind of awesome.
The Cowboys would probably shit their pants.
That'd be awesome. Well, I think your food's probably there, huh?
Actually, yeah, it arrived early.
Oh, it did. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna let you go
Okay.
so you can have dinner.
Well, I'm glad we got to do this though. We should. I feel like we should do this more frequently.
I'm down. I anytime you want, just to be able to like hang out and catch up and stuff like that. We didn't even do a show intro correctly. Like normally, we were talking and rambling, so I was like, I might as well hit record. Like the conversation's just gonna keep rolling and rolling and rolling.
This is how we roll. I feel like because we've known each other for so long, that's just how it's
Yeah.
supposed to be.
Well,
And
to kind of figure it out, we've known each other for like 20 years,
it's been longer than that, hasn't it?
or
Oh,
or longer, at
I
least
feel
at a
like
minimum.
I met you in like 1999 though. Did I not?
Well, yeah. So it's
19,
been over
did,
20 years.
did I meet you at the show place?
Maybe I used to play there all the time in high school.
Because like
Um,
one of our
and I know
first
you played there a bunch of times too.
yeah. I feel like one of our first like US shows outside of Detroit was in Buffalo at the show place.
That could have been it.
And that was 1999. Uh,
So we've known each other 21 years.
yeah, that's a long time.
My God.
Old.
We are super old. Oh my God.
Not that old though.
Huh?
So we're not that old.
No, but when you just put it in context of like, oh, we've known each other for over 20 years, then it's like, now it just makes me feel
Yeah,
old.
that's more than half my life.
Uh,
Way more than half my life.
now I'm trying to math things and I'm like, is it more than half of mine yet? No, I don't
You
know.
want to do math?
I'm older than you, so we're just putting it there. I got a couple years on you.
All right. Well, you enjoy the rest of your evening. I'm going to go eat some foods.
You have a great, excellent dinner. I'm gonna go home and I'm gonna cook dinner and probably edit songs or something stupid tonight and keep myself busy and work. Well,
Good. Enjoy yourself.
all right. Thank you so much for doing this. Thanks for hanging out, and I will talk to you soon. And like you said, let's do this more often. I'm game.
Yeah,
I'm
for
game.
sure.
All
We'll
right.
talk to you soon.
Bye.
Okay, bye.